Hey, what's going on, my fellow idiots? Welcome back for another episode of Idiot Proof Cooking. Now, first off, apologies for no video last week. Unfortunately, Rose and JP were sick, and it was just a nightmare in my household last week. They're both doing better now, but it was just way too hectic for me to film and edit a video. But I'm back at it today, and I'm going to show you how to make an awesome chocolate cake. Now, it was around the 1930s that the first cake mix was available for idiots like you and me to buy, and they really made making a cake idiot proof. You just use everything in the cake mix and you throw in a couple of additional ingredients and you bake it like that. However, using a cake mix, it's fine, it'll make a good cake, but you can make a way better cake with just a little bit of effort. And honestly, it's a lot more fun. Like, it's really the spirit of baking to go out and make your own from scratch. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's set this cake mix aside. We're not going to use that. Now, the first thing we need is a large mixing bowl, much like the one I've got here. And then I'm going to get out a sifter and put it on top of the bowl. We're first going to add in 2 cups of all-purpose flour. There we go. And then we're going to add in 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. Now, the reason why we're sifting this is because cocoa powder tends to clump up. Like, you'll see little balls of cocoa powder when you pour it out. So just by sifting it with the flour, and you really want to run it through the sifter, like I'm using my whisk here to make sure that it all goes through, you're not going to have any clumpy cocoa powder. Next in is 2 teaspoons of baking powder and then 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. I'm then going to add in a teaspoon of kosher salt, and I'm going to then just use my trusty old whisk to whisk all of the dry ingredients together. Set that bowl aside for a moment and get yourself out a measuring cup, because we're going to pour in 1 tablespoon of instant espresso powder. I am then going to pour in enough boiling water to make 1 cup of instant espresso, and the reason why we're doing this is because we're going to pour this into the cake batter, and it's going to greatly enhance the chocolate flavor. It's not going to make your cake taste like coffee. All it does is enhance the chocolate flavor. So set that aside to cool down and get out a mixing bowl. You're going to use electricity. Now, what we're going to do is pour in 2 cups of white granulated sugar, and then we're going to pack in 2 large eggs. So crack both of those in, make sure you don't put any shells in them, and then we're going to use the teaspoon of vanilla taste extract, and then all we're going to do is whisk the eggs and the sugar and vanilla extract all together until it forms a paste. Make sure it's really good and mixed together. Once that's done, we're going to add in a 1/2 cup of avocado oil or vegetable oil. You basically want a neutral flavored oil. And then to make the cake nice and moist, we're going to pour in a cup of buttermilk, although sour cream will work just as well. Whisk all of that together for a minute, and then you want to pour so we're going to pour the wet ingredients into the pan. Make sure you use a spatula to scrape out all of the wet ingredients. And then the last thing we do is add in our cup of instant espresso. From there, it's really just time to start mixing this together. Now, I would recommend using a whisk or a wooden spoon. I used my rubber spatula here, and as you can see, it was kind of a pain to mix. It took a lot longer. It didn't really want to mix properly, so I ended up just scraping the spatula off here. I didn't want to leave any of the batter on the spatula, obviously, and then I got out my whisk to really give this a good mixing together. You want to make sure that everything is thoroughly incorporated. You don't want any dry stuff left in. You don't want like a lumpy cake, obviously. Once that's all mixed, get out 2 9-inch cake pans, much like the new ones I have here, and we're going to line the bottoms with some parchment paper. Now, I cut circles out of parchment paper, and we're just going to spray the bottoms of the cake pans with some cooking spray here so that the parchment paper sticks to the bottom of it. Look at that. Perfect, perfect. All right, so lay the parchment paper down, and then you also want to spray the walls of the cake pan, but then once that's done, just go get your cake batter and try your best to spread it out between the 2 cake pans evenly. Obviously, that's a little bit tough. It's eyeballing. Oh, look who came to inspect. So anyways, eyeball the cake batter in both. You obviously want to make sure that both are relatively of even size. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use a butter knife here and insert it into the cake batter to see how far down the knife goes, so you can kind of have like a mark of how deep it is. So we got that there. Okay, perfect. So then let's stick it into the other cake pan, and look at that. It's pretty much the exact depth. I eyeballed that. That turned out perfectly. But that's a good way to kind of measure it, to measure the depth of your cake batter. Now, what you want to do is preheat your oven to 350 250 degrees Fahrenheit and bake the cakes for the next 35 to 40 minutes until they come out nice and puffy and risen, looking much like this. There's the first one. Give me a second. Let me go get the second one. There we go. Now, to test to make sure they're baked all the way through, much like a lot of things we bake on the channel, insert a wooden skewer into the center, and if it comes out clean like the first one and the second one there, that means they're baked all the way through. Now, I'm going to remove the cakes from the pans before they cool down, and I'm going to let them cool down on a wire rack. So I'm just using my butter knife here to run along the edges of the cake to make sure that it didn't stick to the walls of the pan anywhere. I've just tilted it upside down on top of my wire rack and just carefully lift the pan off and then just repeat the process. I dropped the cake on the towel there. All you're going to do is lift the second pan off, and don't use your bare hands because the pan is still piping hot, but all we've got to do now is let the pieces of cake cool down on the wire rack for the next 2 to 3 hours. Look at them. They look great. So yeah, anyways, cool down for the next 2 to 3 hours, and then we're going to decorate these with some buttercream frosting. There we go. Look at these. JP has come to inspect. He's gotten much taller so he can look over the table now. But anyways, buttercream frosting. Get out a large mixing bowl and start off by adding in 1.5 cups of unsalted butter that you've let soften at room temperature for like an hour. From there, we're going to add in 5 cups of powdered sugar, which sounds like a lot of sugar, but we need to make a lot of buttercream frosting, and then 1 cup of cocoa powder. Next in is a 1/2 cup of whole milk. Pour that in, and then I'm going to add in a tablespoon of vanilla paste. From there, I'm just going to use my electric mixer, and we're going to mix this all together for the next 4 to 5 minutes until it all mixes together thoroughly and you get a nice silky smooth, creamy and rich buttercream frosting, and it's nice and chocolatey as well. So I'm just going to take the beaters off of my electric mixer and give one to JP because he has been screaming for one. There we go, little man. And I'm going to eat the other one. I'm going to lick the other one off. But there you go. There's some chocolate buttercream frosting. So let's decorate the cake. Now, I've got one of these cake decorating spinny things here. I don't know the actual name for it, but I'm first going to lay down just a little dollop of the buttercream frosting so that we can place the first piece of cake down and it'll help hold it in place. And then we're going to add a nice generous layer of buttercream frosting on top so that you have a nice buttercream frosting layer in between the 2 pieces of cake. I'm just going to use my offset spatula here to spread it all out, and then go get our second piece of chocolate cake and put it on top. Make sure that it lines up as good as you can make it line up, and then it's time to just start loading this thing up with buttercream frosting. Now, obviously, decorating a cake, it can be kind of a pain, especially if you don't have one of those little spinny plates. Obviously, I would recommend getting one. They're pretty cheap. It makes decorating it really easy because you can just kind of spin it as you're decorating, but do your best here. Like, it doesn't have to look perfect. Mine certainly isn't going to look perfect, as you can see, but you're just going to keep adding buttercream frosting and using your offset spatula to add more frosting on and smooth it out. There we go. Now I'm just going to use a paper towel here to kind of clean up the base a little bit here, but there you go. There's your chocolate cake. Now, if you're like me and you're a child at heart, you can also add some sprinkles on top. That's what I'm obviously doing. It just makes it look a little bit nicer. I like the look of some multicolored sprinkles, but that's it. That is a idiot-proof chocolate cake. Not as idiot-proof as a cake mix, but still idiot-proof and way more fun than just throwing everything in from a cake mix. Look at that. And this is going to taste way better than a cake mix too. So let's cut in a piece here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I can't wait to give you a close-up. Look at the inside shot. Look at that. JP is just hollering for a bite as well. So there's the inside shot of the cake, and there's the buttercream frosting. Look at how moist it looks. It looks dense and moist, and it smells so chocolatey. I did damage the back end of it a little bit when pulling it off the rest of the cake, but so what? Who cares? So let's go in for a taste test here with the first bite. Oh man, this is so chocolatey and rich and so moist as well. Oh, there we go, little man. And oh yeah, he was a fan. He was a fan. He can't give thumbs up yet. Give it another year or so, and he'll be just like Rose giving the thumbs up. But he absolutely loved this, as evidenced by him continuing to stand there and hollering for more pieces of cake. Hey, oh, that one's for me, little man. Hold on, I'll give him another bite here before we finish up. Yeah, there you go, buddy. JP was a big fan. Rose was away when I was taste testing it, but she crushed the piece after she got home. This was fantastic and super easy to make, so I hope you liked what you saw here. If you did, why don't you drop me a comment, like the video, or even subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching Idiot Proof Cooking, and we'll see you again next time.
let your kids what's it? Don't let your kids what's it? Don't let your kids what's it?
You're pleased to be our feature presentation.
Don't let your kids what's it? Don't let your kids what's it?